Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome everyone to From the Ground Up Real Time Issues with Real Time Solutions for MWBEs, sponsored by Queen Strategy Partners. That is Danielle Douglas, Nicole Valentine Esquire, and myself, Dr. Stacey N.C. Grant. We appreciate you hanging out with us the first and the third Tuesday of every month, where we talk about real time issues. We've had a lot that we've been witnessing and happening all around us, and we do our best to bring you information, to bring you resources that can help your business thrive in spite of everything that we see happening around us. So, life is interesting, but we've been here to be your friends through it all. I mean, we launched this as a response to what we were seeing, and Queen Strategy Partners is committed to being your partner in this thing called business growth and development and getting back on track for all of the things that are necessary. So, before I get into all of what we're going to do today, this is my fun part of the show because I get to be here with one of my dearest and best girlfriends in the world, the one and only Danielle Douglas. So, Danielle, good morning.
Good morning, Miss Dr. Stacey N.C. Grant. It is so good to be here with you today. It's so much going on. I think the last time we had a live show was what, like literally 4 weeks ago, right? And it's been on and popping since then. But guess what? Even though it's been on and popping, it's been on and popping in a good way because some of us have had some birthdays going on, right?
Yeah.
And
It's
you
Libra
know, if you
season.
don't know, not only am I a Libra, but that's why this is one of my best BFS. You see, I said that double because we're both Libras, so we know what's going on. So, with that said, we also have so much to talk about, right? Like Stacey said, we're providing you real time solutions for these real time issues. We got Hurricane Ida. We know that a ton of you, from a personal level, if you are a resident of Queens, you may have been impacted, or you could have been impacted with your business. Nevertheless, we have a great guest with us today who's going to share with you about resources. So she should be coming on momentarily. And also, we know that you all probably been, experienced and been impacted again on some level with the whole technology issue that happened yesterday with Facebook and Instagram. But guess what? It is Mercury retrograde. So it was in the stars for that to happen. So, but guess what? Even though it happened, we're going to have it, we're going to be talking about it and what you should do when situations happen like that again. Because guess what? There will be another Mercury retrograde at some point. So, with that said, I'm going to pass it back to my co-host and my friend, Miss Dr. Stacey C. Grant.
Thank you so much, Danielle. Now, the jury's out on this Mercury in retrograde, but when things like this happen, as our special guest is getting ready to come on, and we're just so excited to have one of the hardest working women in civic government be with us today to address some of the challenges that businesses have seen. Honey, this Facebook, Instagram, the joke was that my birthday broke the internet. That's what my friends were texting me. Because they couldn't get through on Facebook. I said, you see, I acknowledge birthdays way before Facebook and all these things. If I know you and you're my peoples, you get a call and you get a conversation. But it was interesting to see how people froze. And from the business aspect, a lot of businesses took a hit in those hours because they're solely dependent on the activity of Facebook and Instagram. And then there are other businesses that use WhatsApp for international communication. So this mass outage affected the stock market. It really talked about, what businesses around the world who depend on Facebook were challenged with. So this CNBC article is an article that I suggest businesses read, because when you look at the disruption that happened, what's your contingency? That's what we want to share today really quick. What's your contingency plan? If everything that you build around your business is predicated on interacting with Facebook and Instagram, then you might need to explore your business model and have something as a backup, because anything like this can happen. Technology is wonderful, but when it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And people were really sick. They were all sorts of memes created of people suffering because they couldn't get on to Facebook and Instagram. So we don't want any of the businesses that are tuned into this show or a part of our community to be stuck. But there's always a lesson when there's a challenge. So what's the lesson? So we just wanted to bring that up. Danielle, what are your thoughts? And then we're going to introduce our special guest.
So, this is it's not funny, but it's funny because we always talk about how I'm kind of so disconnected, which I need to be a little more connected to social media. So in the nature of Librans, I would say there needs to be some balance, right? With COVID-19, we talked about so much the need to be plugged into social media to connect with your customers, and to be able to create your brand on social media. And I know I need to continue to do better at that myself, but there needs to be balance as well. So we can't completely go to social media and the digital platforms, because hence we saw what happened. And I do believe this may happen again. The last time it happened was in 2008. It took, 13 years or so, I'm doing the math in my head, for it to happen. But there will be potentially another situation like this again. So as you said, Stacey, we need to be proactive, and we may not be solely responsible on digital platforms to communicate with our clients in the marketplace. So, balance in Libra season. The take home message is balance.
Is balance. Absolutely. Well, we have our special guest here with us this morning, and we're going to give her a formal introduction. We're so glad that she was able to carve out this time to spend with us, because there is, like you said, Danielle, so much going on. So between the borough president and our deputy borough president, they have not stopped. It's just like nonstop movement. But, we would be remiss if we didn't just shout out the fact that it's all about the Black Girl Magic. It's all about the fact that she has brought such a vitality to the office, right? She is someone who is no stranger to being a visionary with a passion for social and environmental justice, even from her youth. She lobbied in New York City for the New York City Council and New York public interest groups to shut down Fresh Kills. It was one of the largest toxic sites in the country. She's been an attorney that represented and released wrongfully detained clients before the U.S. Immigration Court of Appeals. She worked for 9/11 pro bono. She's broken up internet and cable monopolies and a part of those teams that did that. I mean, she served in the Obama-Biden administration, the Clinton-Gore administration. She was a U.S. diplomat in the West Wing. I mean, she comes seasoned, not just beautiful. You talk about brains. And because of her love for her hometown of Queens, she came back to be the executive director for the MWBES in one of the borough's largest business district, where she took action against, what was happening with the stark inequality of resources and investments made in the borough. So when she comes to this work, she comes to the work of being our deputy borough president, understanding business, understanding the need for us to be able to put ourselves in position for real leadership. And I mean, her resume is packed with awards, with recognitions, with the work that she does still as the chairman of the South Asian American Voice and vice president of Guyanese Girls Rock Foundation, and so many more boards that she sits on. So we're proud that Queens can really boast that we have our very own deputy president, Rhonda Benda, representing the interests of the people of the greatest borough, the world's borough, Queens, New York. So welcome to our deputy borough president.
Good morning, Danielle. Good morning, Dr. Grant. It's so great to be here. Congratulations on your incredible program. I love that you're getting all the information out there, and in the ways that you're engaging in these new ways that we can connect with more and more people. Thank you for your leadership.
Well, we are happy to have you with us this morning.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's always a joy. And, I'm just super proud of the leadership, not just because you're beautiful on the outside, but from the inside out. You are working for the people. Your hand is on the pulse of what's happening. And when Danielle and I looked at what Storm Ida, hurricane turned storm, when it got to us, Ida did, it not only devastated the homes, and, I continue to thank the Borough President's Office for your continued partnership with Night of Healing and everything else that we've been doing to raise funds for these families. Businesses were affected. So we just wanted to talk about a lot of the resources and then just general information that you have to share with us. And Danielle's going to kick us off with some of the questions around what's going on and how can we rebuild. I mean, Mother Nature has not been happy with Earth for a while. And now we're seeing, unfortunately, what we can't control affect our businesses. Danielle, over to you.
Thank you. So, we really, as Stacy said, it's really about resources. And so we want to get an understanding of what resources are available if a business owner's, property has been damaged, or just overall, they had issues with damage.
So thank you. And thank you for, framing the gravity of this problem for so many of our businesses. We've gone through an actual pandemic, but what Borough President Richards also points to is that we're also going through an economic pandemic, especially when it comes to our small businesses in Queens. We know that that's the lifeblood of our jobs here in the borough, as well as, our vitality. And what makes Queens so unique is that it is the place that so many people have been able to build their businesses. And a lot of times these are mom and pop, they start with family and friends investment. And there's not always, we're finding that there's not always a reserve for emergencies and extreme emergencies like this. And so on behalf of Borough President Donovan Richards Jr., first, I'd just like to thank you for having us talk about this important issue, to talk about the resources that are available for Hurricane Ida. So the governor worked with President Biden to declare an emergency disaster declaration for certain counties throughout New York State. And the master declaration then allows FEMA to provide resources for those areas that fall in. So the areas that were covered, because I know you have listeners far and wide, are Bronx, Dutchess County, Kings, Nassau, New York, Orange, Putnam, Queens, Richmond, Rockland, Suffolk, Sullivan, Ulster, and Westchester. And so similar to what happened after Hurricane Sandy, there is now a dedicated effort, and we've actually opened up a hurricane recovery center at Queens College so that individuals can go there directly and work with FEMA and finding out how they can get support. And I'd also be remiss if I didn't also mention that we are having collecting for disaster relief in Haiti right here at Borough Hall. And similarly, we're seeing so much generosity and compassion from our neighbors here in Queens. And so because we just went through what was so difficult for a lot of the businesses over these past couple of years, especially, we already have somewhat of a network, it seems, when Ida happened, because we were already in this mode of how can we help and help each other throughout the networks here in the borough. And so one of the things that Borough President Richards just did is actually partner with the Metz Foundation, and they were able to assist businesses in certain zip codes that were affected by the pandemic, but perhaps did not get the federal relief, with $17 million in grants up to $20,000. And on the SBF, EDC was our partner actually, but on their website, you can see that this funding went to very diverse groups. So similarly, what we're doing with small businesses, those that are not, for whatever the reasons are, like I said, sometimes the smaller, more startup businesses, this is what happened with the pandemic as well. They did not necessarily have all the records, all their paperwork together to be able to get the help formally from the federal government. So we feel that our office is not only there to connect to the resources I'm going to tell you about today, but even for those who may not qualify, we want to help you with your appeal. We want to help you to make sure that somehow, because we're also creating a network of donors, both private and public, to help in other ways. And so there's sort of two avenues. But first of all, I want to point out that the U.S. Small Business Administration is offering disaster assistance in the form of low interest loans to businesses, nonprofits, homeowners, renters that are affected by those declared disaster locations. They're also providing eligible small businesses and nonprofit organizations with working capital to overcome the economic industry of this declared disaster. So you can apply at disasterassistance.sba.gov. Furthermore, everyone is encouraged to file a disaster flood insurance claim if you have coverage. So hopefully you were able to take photos and you have an inventory. I happened to be sitting in a restaurant in Queens the night of the hurricane and did not quite realize how quickly the water was coming. And it just so happened that I had met the owner a few months prior with Borough President Richards. So he came up to me and we were celebrating a birthday, and he's like, Rhonda, can you come downstairs to the basement? I want to show you what's going on. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And you can see the flooding. And even myself, I grew up in Queens, and from time to time, my family, we have lived in basements. And I remember when my mom finally bought the family house, she, being a single mom, would you have to go to the basement and flood out, and the entire area and work with the sump pump. And this is exactly what I was still seeing. 40 years later, I'm seeing this happen with these businesses that were in this particular district. But what I also saw that night is that they were bringing the buckets, bringing the equipment, and I guess at this point, this is something that they expected to happen from time to time, but this should not be the norm. That we are now taking much more proactive action, that we saw what could happen in such a short period of time. And luckily, Borough President Richards, he is the right person to be here at this moment in time, because I will tell you, the areas in Queens that were repaired after Sandy, they withstood this hurricane. So that weekend, I believe, was Labor Day weekend. We had a lot of activities all throughout the borough. I mainly deal with businesses. What I was doing was visiting businesses for the past, several weeks. But we did take a break to do some for those who were able to do parades and celebrate Labor Day weekend. And those were in the areas that were affected by Sandy. So even his neighborhood in Rosedale was pretty much no damage. So it makes me very hopeful that, this partnership between the federal government after Sandy, it took a while, according to, most people who wanted to see it happen faster, but they were able to build back better. And that is our goal. And so we have the right leadership in place. The person who, had his district most hit. And we even held a free concert at Rockaway Beach that weekend. And there was, no damage to those areas that were rebuilt. So we're very confident. The borough president was also chair of the Environmental Protection Committee and co-chaired the One New York plan, which was the citywide sustainability plan. So more to come soon, but he'll be announcing also a similar approach for Queens as we look towards our development and building with an eye on sustainability. So to go back to the claims, if you have flood insurance, and if you have been denied a claim by your insurance company, then that denial may actually help your FEMA application when you apply to FEMA. So just keep that in mind. And anyone who experienced flooding can also, as I said, save your photos, save your videos. You can file a claim quite easily on the comptroller's office, and that's comptroller.newyorkcity.gov/services for the public/claim/file-a-claim. And again, what I can also do is make sure that I provide this information for your social media to share far and wide. The comptroller's office in New York City is responsible for overseeing the resolution of settlement and claims that are filed on or behalf of New York City. So after the claim is received, the comptrollers will investigate and may offer to settle the claim based on the results of the findings. The notice of a claim has to be made within 90 days of the incident. So we're coming up on that time. So please, thank you for sharing that. So please get that in as soon as you can. And the claim can be submitted or mailed by certified mail to New York City's Comptroller's Office, the Municipal Building on 1 Center Street. That's New York, 10007. And like I said, so in addition, some of the work that we have been doing has been to help the businesses and the families that may not have all the documents in place. Especially when you're working with the government, there may be some hesitation. Say, for example, your business had fines in the past that were not resolved, especially there was so much confusion around a lot of the regulations over the pandemic. It's just very not clear, cut, especially for businesses that were trying to reopen. And even now, there's, still some challenges there. We're finding that our businesses are having a hard time finding staff because of the mandate around the vaccine. So we've been trying to be sort of like the place where we can supplement and give additional help. So we've called all of our private sector partners, Lowe's, Home Depot, Resorts World, all the usual suspects. And Home Depot in particular showed great generosity and have donated 15 pallets of cleaning supplies, disinfectants, Clorox. We're working with the Long Island Board of Realtors. That's, helping with sheetrock. So these are going to help businesses and families clean up their efforts. The office has also been created certain stations in different and just along the sides of neighbors and homes within each of the areas. We're in Woodside, we're in Elmhurst, we're in Hollis, and we're in Flushing, and all of the affected areas that had particularly maybe been in sort of like a valley situation that were flooded out. And what we're going to see is that some of those businesses and homes may have to actually rethink going forward, because it may be that that there's no way to help from this happening again in the future. The SBS Commissioner Doris, we were in Long Island City. We visited a number of businesses that, again, it's so sad for the businesses because a lot of times in their basements, that's where you have the inventory. That's where you have like your goods that are maybe shipping out. That's, there's a lot of value in those spaces that are, hidden and subterranean. And there were some businesses like that, especially in Long Island City, that were on a slant. So, they're loading dock, and then they have all of their supplies, and, God bless them. It seemed that for the most part, there were some businesses that were able to anticipate this, especially if they were on a slant. But others, like I said, we were sitting there having dinner, and then all of a sudden the owners were like scrambling and everything was shut down. So there are other organizations again, because of the pandemic, we already sort of had a network with those who can help. And I have to give a shout out to our businesses as well, that they provided so many meals to people that were hungry throughout the pandemic. Now it was a time for us to give back and see how we can, particularly help them. So there are organizations like Hungry Monk that have donated efforts, including manpower, as well as organizations in Long Island, God's Blessings Plan. I sent some folks over there recently, and they picked up, I think, 400 pounds of chicken, but also all these other supplies. So it's really been just beautiful how much help we've gotten, and we really appreciate and extremely grateful for the support that they've given the community. And like I mentioned, the Long Island Board of Realtors, in addition to helping us with some actual supplies, again, sometimes it's better to have the grant funding, like what we did with the Mets, because then they can use it on exactly what they want. We are keeping a list of what people need. One of the needs we found for some of the people whose homes were damaged was mattresses. We were able to get that donated and match people. But especially for the businesses, they're such a diverse. So we were able to get funding of one-time grants of $2,000 from the Board of Realtors for mortgage, for primary residence or rent relief, and they've been helping through as I said, providing actual supplies, as well as some of the labor unions have stepped up. And so for this particular, this is more on the residential side, but for this particular program. Qualified applicants can submit for a residence that was a primary residence or for rental costs due to displacement of their primary residence. And it's a one-time maximum of $2,000. The deadline is October 31st, and they can be accessed at www.li-realtor.com/ida/ dash relief. So that's the generosity of LIBOR. And we've also received donations from Empire Blue Cross Blue Shield, where we're able to, as I said, buy specific supplies based on what the business is told. So on our last call, we have an interagency call where we track the progress of applications. FEMA so far has received about 3,000 a day, about 32,000 applications, and $8.6 million in loans and grants have been secured so far for businesses. So, we want to take this opportunity and mention that there is still, especially for businesses, there's a need for drywall, sheetrock, building tools, paint, primer, priming tape, roofing materials, plywood, appliances, windows, doors, anything that you can imagine that can help rebuild in a reconstruction. And so any donations are appreciated. And we just want to thank you so much, because what we did find over the past few years with the pandemic, and then being hit again more recently with the hurricane, is that the government assistance is limited, right? So what we saw is this incredible nonprofit network step up, especially in Queens, that was much more understanding of the various businesses, much more, I would say, also culturally appropriate for all the different neighborhoods. And as such, the borough president created an office of nonprofit opportunities. And we have a network where if you're a nonprofit, you can join it. And we also try to help you build capacity, because what we realize is that how much the nonprofits also helped the private sector and help the government do their work. And so we can't thank them enough for their continued partnership. And we want to continue to strengthen them and strengthen our partnership. But we know that, the economy in Queens was only 3% unemployment in March of 2020. And I think we're, around the 10% right now, Danielle. But we hope that we can keep lowering that number. We had our first in-person job fair at Queens Center Mall. It's a mall we're very proud of. It has one of the highest dollar per square foot in terms of what they sell in retail. I think about $931 per square foot, one of the highest in the country. And the borough president was able to host in person, because during the pandemic, we were hosting job fairs every month virtually. So this was our first in person, and it went really well, but the businesses are having a hard time finding people to come back. People are finding, that they're entrepreneurs. They're finding that they want to go a different route, or getting reskilled or upskilled. And it's interesting that to see that there's so many businesses every month that want to participate. We always have a list, and we always have to turn folks away. So it seems like our businesses are bouncing back, and now it's more of a challenge of matching them with the staff and the talent. So I'm hopeful that we're really here. Like I said, downtown, we talked about downtown Jamaica. We have about eight really, really thriving business districts in Queens, a borough of 2.5 million people, and there's a main chamber, Queens Chamber of Commerce, but there's so many other business districts and merchants associations all throughout the borough that do so much with our business community. And it seems to me that there are openings and ribbon cuttings, and there's still a lot of activity, but we know that some of them are still hurting. And so always feel free to reach out to our office. We have this incredible economic development team that I had the pleasure of working with when we were in Jamaica, which is made up of Sharon Anderson. She is our director of economic development. And we have a business ombudsman that the borough president appointed, Jaron Perricone. And they work with Dorothy Pafumi and myself. I work with them very closely as well. Always feel free to reach out to us. And with respect to Ida Relief, I'll give you the email for Kat Bresler. She's been our point of contact for relief. And her email is kbresler, BREZLER, @queensbp.org. So she's, I think last night was in, that's Sharon. We love her. She was in, and this is when we were doing a walkthrough with the borough president in, I think, believe in Jackson Heights not too long ago with the SBS commissioner. So Kat is also our point of contact for Ida Relief, and she, I know last night was with Assemblywoman Rojas and State Senator and I think she may have been in the Elmhurst area, which is also the area that we visited when President Biden came to take a look at the damage. And they were working with community members and helping them fill out their application. So we're on the ground, and some of us, like I've visited, so, as I said, I've been mainly working with the businesses, but I've also visited some of the residential areas. And in those areas, there's stations set up. We send the FEMA team directly to work for people to sign up with them there. But now that there's a center at Queens College, you can also feel free to go there. And so we're here to help you rebuild and build back better. So on behalf of VP Richards, thank you so much for the opportunity to use your platform and to partner with you to share more information about relief.
Absolutely. We thank you for taking the time. I mean, it was so much information that you just shared. We were flashing some of those resources and the websites. We will follow up with the links that you send us so that we can share it more broadly and make sure that nobody misses the opportunity. That's what our show is, real-time issues with real-time solutions. And we salute Borough President Donovan Richards Jr. and yourself, our Deputy Borough President Rhonda Binda, for the continued work and the entire team. We know it's not just two people, it's a team working at Borough Hall every day. And Kat has been amazing. Had a chance to work with her with curating the support for Night of Healing. And we wanted our businesses to know that you're not alone. And this is happening in Queens. And our show, of course, we have listeners from all over, but we wanted to definitely highlight our commitment to the borough that we happen to live in. So thank you so much. We know your schedule is jam-packed, so we appreciate the fact that you took some time out. I know Danielle has some final words to say to you as well. If you are able to hang out with us.
I'm great.
Okay, awesome. And then we're going to bring in our next special guest for today. But Danielle, any thoughts? I mean, that's a lot of information for businesses to utilize.
Yeah, it is. And it was a wealth of information. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I have one question, and it probably take you literally 30 seconds to answer it. And that is, you talked about the business owners, they go into their insurance first, right? Applying for insurance. And then if that doesn't work, then they should consider FEMA. So I wanted to just ask you, is it, can they do both? Or is it like, if you are denied insurance, then you go to FEMA? Or can you do both? You can, apply for, go to your insurance company as well as FEMA. So I just want to kind of.
I don't know if you can do both, but you definitely have to apply. You definitely should apply first if you have the insurance. And I'll ask Sharon for the answer for that question. It's a great question, and I'll text that back to you before the end of the call. From what I'm hearing, if you have insurance, that tends to be faster in getting if they say yes. And so especially businesses, they want to get back open. They that FEMA has given out $8.6 million. They're moving. But same response that I heard about, it was like, I was very pleased to see that there was not any damage in the areas that were built up after Sandy. But what everyone said is it's slow. And, me coming from federal government, I guess I'm a little used to the slowness because it's so massive. But this is New York, people People want everything yesterday. Yes. So, and they, as you know, and they deserve to have a much more efficient process, and I believe it has been. So what I hear from the business owners that they'd rather just go through the insurance if they can get it, because it's a faster. I guess they can, write the check and get it to them in their hands sooner. But I'll ask about that and send that over to you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Awesome. So since you're hanging out with us, you get to meet our next special guest. And Danielle is going to introduce our special guest because we have another resource for you. So last year we told you about this fantastic event for Black business owners, and it's back again. It is 2021, and there's information that we want to definitely share with you about another resource, another opportunity to level up. So Danielle, you want to do the honors of introducing our next special guest?
Yes. So she's a friend of the show. She's been with us before as we talked about other topics like branding and marketing and things like that. And I am proud to introduce Miss Tanya Simmons Reed again. She is a dear friend. She has been just like Miss Dr. Stacey and C. Grant. She has been my ride or die. As we were in a meeting just yesterday, I shared how she just took my vision and she just partnered with me to bringing this vision to fruition. So I just wanted to personally thank Miss Tanya Simmons Reed for all her commitment of being up with me to 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning, and just making it happen. So here we are again doing it. And it's really at the, I would say Miss Tanya motivated me again because I was so mentally exhausted after last year. I was like, oh my gosh, do I want to do this again? And Tanya was like, this is a no-brainer. Of course we're going to do it again. And so here we are again, launching, I should say, having the second annual Black Business Owners Forum 2021 Level Up event. So this is a form of ministry for me, just like I would say Stacey and I do this program. This is just another way of trying to give back to the business community. And we know that minority and women business enterprises have really been impacted on multiple levels. But when we look at Black business owners, we know that there's a disparity within disparity. So we want to just address that and provide businesses the tools, the resources, the information, as well as access to opportunities for them to level up. So I know that was a mouthful, but I wanted to, again, introduce my partner in this regard, Ms. Tanya Simmons Reed.
Hello, everyone. I didn't know we were going to have another.
I have to give you some applause, Tanya. Welcome back.
Well, look, I dressed up for you all. I didn't know we were going to have company, but I heard there were 2 birthdays I missed since the last time I was on. So, I wanted to say happy birthday to Danielle from September 29th. And to you, Dr. Stacey Grant, I heard your birthday was yesterday. So I brought one for Danielle and one for Dr. Stacey. So,
yes. And I know it feels late. But Miss Tanya's birthday was September 16th, so she had a birthday since the last time.
Well, we're going to focus on you two today.
So
I put on my husband was like, where are you going? You going out? I was like, no, I'm going from the ground up. It's their birthdays. I want to come a little special for them. So,
well,
here I am.
We appreciate it. And yes, you and my son share a birthday. So
yes,
I can't forget your birthday either, Tanya.
Well, you know how great I am then. No,
Clearly. So, Deputy Borough President is still hanging with us. When is your birthday? So we don't leave you out of the birthday conversation.
Well, my half birthday just passed. I also celebrate that. But my real birthday is March 22nd.
Oh, right.
I like to celebrate twice. Happy birthday, ladies.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
So March 22nd. I love that, the half birthday. See, I thought I was extra, Danielle, celebrating all month long. But our Deputy Borough President celebrates the half birthday too. I love it. So obviously we love having fun on the show while we're bringing you information and resources, and I'm so excited for Danielle's second annual Black Business Owners Forum. You have to start somewhere, and just as she has been supportive of our annual Faithpreneur Weekend experience, I mean, I can't believe we're going on year 5. And that's how fast it adds up, right? Year 2 is here, and Deputy Borough President Binda, this is another great resource to be able to share with our businesses in Queens. I mean, at this point, we know leveling up is so important. We see, and here you'll be able to view a wonderful message from Danielle on the site, but this just really talks about what she and Tanya have partnered in doing to really advance where we go from here in business, and looking at, the theme and what you're covering, from the wealth information, navigating new terrain, getting access to the corporate sector, securing the bag. I mean, who don't want to secure the bag? I mean, it just makes sense to me. Living the vision, elevating your game. I mean, it's so much more that's here. So if you are one of our businesses and you feel like you've been in somewhat of a quandary, like, oh boy, COVID was something else. And then COVID is not, it hasn't disappeared. Like, some people are acting like COVID is over. Hello, we're still losing lives every day to this pandemic. The news is purposely not focusing on certain things because everybody's worried about the economy. And as businesses, we know that we need your economic engine to move. Small businesses built this country. So this forum is an opportunity for you not only to meet with Danielle, to meet some of the speakers and presenters, and you can just go straight to the website. I'll drop it in the chat for those of you that are viewing live. But Tanya came on to just share some of the other reasons why you should be a part, talk about some of the speakers who will be assembled to share. So these are not people who are just playing business. I mean, they have some experience. They know what they're doing. They're game changers within the industry, right? So this is an opportunity for you to hear from experts, for you to interact with the individuals that are doing the work on the ground each and every day. So we just want to make sure that you get more information about the conference so that you can support. So Tanya, thank you for joining us. So what would you like to highlight about the conference?
Thank you for having me. And the main thing I just want to highlight is that now is the time, right? Now is the time. Don't delay, don't procrastinate, be accountable, register, because this event has not only as everything that you've mentioned, but it has the heart behind it. It's good ground, the foundation of really wanting to help businesses, Black businesses, go to the next level up. There's just a culmination, as you know, with your event. That an event is never ending. You're always raising the bar and keeping moving. Even as we say, as Danielle started saying, as you're building the plane as you're flying, because you want it to be the best plane ever. And so whatever's required, you're going to do to bring the best, because her heart behind this whole event, this movement, I call it, is to really help Black business owners have a seat at the table and to prepare them, because it's important that we stay ready, right? It's not time to get ready when the opportunity comes, but when it comes, you need to be ready. And so it's also important to have a network of like-minded people around you. And so this is the place where you're going to meet like-minded business owners who have the same, goals, ambition, drive, grit, tenacity that you hopefully do. And if you don't have it, then you really need to be there, because hopefully it will rub off on you and you will leave changed and ready to truly level up. So that's just what I want to share. Registration is, I don't even like to call it registration. I like to call it attendee investment, right? It's an investment in your business, in your vision, in what you're doing, because if we're playing, I play to win. I know you all play to win, right? Why are we just going to play? If we want to be successful and we want to, ultimately our goal, yes, is to make revenue, but we have to want to help people first. And I think that this is definitely good ground. It's a good environment. It's going to challenge you, and challenge is good. And so just register. It's next week. I can't believe we're already here. And I'm telling you, you want to be in the room. You know how they say, like in class, you want to get to the front row, sit in the front row. Don't sit in the back of the class. You want to get to the front row. And the beauty of virtual is that you will be in the front row from your home and from your office, wherever it is, on wherever you are. You have a smart device. You can join us, and I encourage you to join us, because it's time. The time is now.
Absolutely.
Tanya, I feel like you just said it so eloquently, and, it just captures my heart, because it does come from the heart. And, it was a lot of intention and work put in, even with the sessions, because I am a fellow business owner. And so I know the challenges that I'm facing, all of us, but I'm just speaking from my heart, that facing, and what I would like to get more information about. We go to events, we hear about access to capital. We know you need 3 years business tax returns, you need 2 years personal returns. But how do we take that information about capital and determine, based on the needs of our business in that moment, what is the best lending source for that particular situation we're in? I have had the opportunity to speak to a business owner and share with her information about the event. And she said, I feel like you calling me is literally was a message from God. And I'm not just making this up and trying to, embellish this. And it was just that moment, because she just got a contract. She got a contract for janitorial services with Avis. And she did not know how she was going to get the working capital for that particular contract. And she went to her bank that she does payroll with, and they said, I can't help you. And she thought she wouldn't be able to fulfill that contract because of that. And that is on a very basic level that we as business owners know, no, we have this opportunity. There are resources out there, but we need to understand when we use what resources. That is critically, critically important. And so I gave her 2 resources right then and there. I didn't want her to wait to have to come to the Black Business Owners Forum to hear about resources, because again, she had a real-time issue and she needed a solution in real time. But I wanted to demonstrate to her, I'm here. It's not about the event, and here I'm offering you some value. Even, Stacy, you talk about minority and women business enterprises. And when we think about that, often we think about the government sector, where we have an anchor institution, the Port Authority, with the $13 billion JFK redevelopment project, which is critical to our Southeast Queens local community. That's critical. But guess what? There's a lot of opportunities in the corporate sector that we're not really tapping into. And so as we begin to think about how we can expand our businesses with a new customer base, I want business owners to think not only how they can maximize potentially their opportunity in the government sector, but begin to think about new markets that they can tap into. Because as business owners, we're always looking at new markets, and we should be if we want to expand. And then something that's really dear to me that I'm actually going to be on this panel myself is about community. Because although we want to get our share of contract opportunities, we are deserving of our share of contract opportunities. That's a means to an end, because when we grow our businesses, it's really to hopefully have impact on our families to generate wealth, our employees for workforce, to help others, as well as our community and how we can work together. And so one of the sessions, the Living the Vision session, is going to be about that, about how business owners are doing things on a grassroots level and working with locally elected officials, as well as community-based organizations, that we work cohesively to really impact our businesses. So she's really Mrs., but our local councilwoman, Savina Brooks Power, she's going to be the moderator on that. So I'm excited about her moderating that. And we will have 2 tracks. We're going to have a construction track and we're going to have a non-construction track. So even if you're not in construction, there is something for you for this forum. And if you're in construction, there is something for you there as well. So
I love it. And that's why I wanted to break it down so people understand the resources that are here, and some familiar faces that have even been on the show and have shown and given real-time issues. You know, Carlos, of course, Sylvina is no stranger to the show, and excited to see one of my mentors be able to support and participate in the keynote, Dr. Frazier. So, I mean, it's a lot, and it's $89. I mean, that's like bargain basement. I mean, come on. You can skip a couple cups of coffee in the week and register for the conference for your bottom line. I mean, if you're in business, you need to be making a profit. This is an investment. This is something that you can write off as professional development. So go ahead and register for the conference and be a part of the heart that is in the work of Black Business Owners Forum 2021. It's time to level up. We talk about the song, secure the bag, do, all these wonderful things, but we really want to make sure that our businesses are able to continue being part of the foundational structure of success in all of New York City, particularly the greatest borough, the world's borough, here in Queens. But we really want, no matter where you are, you could be in California and still register for this conference, because the information is universal, right? The access to the content is what's necessary. So we wanted to make sure we spent time giving you this chance before October 14th to go ahead and share and register. Even if you can't attend the whole thing, register. You never know what bonuses and surprises might come. You never know what email might pop up in your inbox. There's always a blessing when you show up. So show up. And we thank you for being a part of the conversation today, as our time just always seems to just run by. We could be with you forever and ever and ever on From the Ground Up, but we have businesses to run. And part of the reason why we do this show early is that we want to make sure we don't interrupt the flow of business that you have on your day. So the first and the third Tuesday of the month, mark your calendars. We had replays of some really juicy shows for the last 2 weeks. I mean, the content is just so rich. I mean, what would you do without From the Ground Up? I'm just saying. So I'm glad that you were here. Thank you for tuning in. And we're going to give both of our special guests the opportunity to share some final words. And then Danielle's going to bring us on home as we close out today's show. This is one of the best months of the year, if I do say so. In addition to September, in addition to March, in addition to the whole year, I just cut up real bad about this time in the year. So we're going to see you again before this month is out. We're excited to share more information about this forum. Share it with someone else. Don't keep it to yourself. Don't be selfish. Somebody could really use this. Danielle's heart is to really get you content and information and resources that can change the trajectory of your business. And Tanya saw the vision, jumped aboard, and made it happen. So Tanya, I'm going to kick it over to you first, because I know you have pressing commitments this morning. And then we're going to have our Deputy Borough President share her thoughts, and Danielle, once again, to bring us home. Tanya, over to you.
Thank you. I just want to say, I just really honor both of you for caring about businesses and business owners. And like you always say, it's not just about the business owner, but their families and their communities that they have the power to impact. And so as Danielle says about the Black Business Owners Forum 2021 Level Up, register now and come ready. Come ready, because we are going to bring it, especially for you. This is for you. This isn't, about self. It's about community and building. And so thank you so much. And it was great being on here with you. Queens Deputy Borough President Rhonda, I really appreciate seeing you. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya.
Thank you, Tanya.
Thank you, and congratulations, Tanya, on your incredible program. We love everything that you do, and everything that you do, especially to support Black business. The office, for the first time, did have Celebrate Black Business Month, and that was so special because it was our first in-person event at Borough Hall, and the borough president liked it so much. We're going to have an MWBE session. I believe the date that we're looking at is November 17th. So please save the date for that. And I wanted to just let you know, Danielle, I did research that information, and businesses are encouraged to apply for both If you have insurance, still apply for FEMA because they can then hopefully supplement. And on behalf of your Borough President, Don Richards Jr., we want to thank the queens that are here today. And thank you for all that you do for our businesses. Anytime, please reach out to us if we can be of any assistance. And we'd be happy to come back to share more information in the future. And hopefully have the Borough President. He's out of town right now, but thank you so much for allowing us to join and consider us partners in your missions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
God bless.
Thank you. All right.
So am I, Stacey?
Yeah,
should
you're
I?
gonna post us one more.
Okay,
Let me
I
give them a
just
round of
want-
applause. We had to just give our special guests a round of applause and allow them an opportunity to depart if they have to. Tanya, I know you do. So thank you so much for being here. Deputy Borough President Rhonda, thank you again. And we're going to close out the show. It was a good show today, Danielle.
It was, as always. As always. Do we ever not have a good show?
That's true. That's true.
Sorry, folks, but we just call it as we see it, So, but I just want to say thank you, Miss Dr. Stacey and C. Grant, for always supporting me and supporting us and what we do. And Miss Dr. Stacey and C. Grant, she was being very modest, but she was a part of the Black Business Owners Forum last year. So I appreciate you and all that you do. And as we always say, folks, we are here to provide you real-time solutions to the real-time issues. We will continue to do that. We just ask that you show up, and we will continue to show up. And we hope, at least I hope, that on October 14th, that you not only show up, but you're ready to level up. So until then, either I'll see you next week, Thursday. But if not, then you have a wonderful and productive 2 weeks. And we look forward to seeing you, as we say, same bat time, same bat channel. And please take this information, run with it if it applies to you. And we're looking forward to continuously providing you great information that you can apply in real time. So until then, be productive and be blessed and be safe.